Schenectady City Council Committee meeting. I'd like to call to order the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Monday, March 4th, 2024. We have a couple of presentations before we go to the committees. So first, Reverend Nicole John Simone is going to come to present on the Jury Community Foundation. Okay.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
So I will be, Reverend Nicole Jean Simon will be presenting today. There was an act of the department for the council to reconsider a previous application submitted. Their request is $810,000 of ARPA funding to be used to rehab a current building that they have along with programming. So, Reverend Nicole?
Yeah. We can clarify about that.
Yes. So, there was a separate application, as I previously stated to City Council before, that Duree Community Foundation has submitted in regards to ARPA funding for rehab and programming. And along the lines, it had got intertwined with Empowerment Center, considering they will be offering some of the same programming. So now there is an ask for that to be separated, and Duree has a proposal to present today to you on how they would like to use the funding.
Thank you. Is anyone else in the?
And go right down there.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, I'm just gonna put this here because you have a copy. I'm gonna take this mask off. You have a copy of the architect's drawing, the blueprint, and the booklet, but it's very small, and so I figured I'd bring the big one for you if you need to see it.
So, and just before Pastor Nicole gets started, just want to remind everyone that the original consideration of the Empowerment Center is not going to happen the way it was originally envisioned. It's my understanding that there just isn't the money to do the building at 818 Albany Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
We won't read on it too much.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so used to wearing masks. You guys, most of you know that I had a baby not too long ago, and so I wear my mask to protect her. So everywhere I go, I got a mask on. So I want tonight to reintroduce you to Duree Community Foundation. So I guess we can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. We've been serving the Hamilton Hill community since 1837, the oldest African-American church in the city, right? So 187 years our church has been here and serving. Back in 2020, I started the Duree Community Foundation. Because I got here as the pastor, realized that, we own quite a bit of property here on Hewlett Street, and we might want to do some things for the community with those properties. So we have down the street, we own a plot of land that Sycam is currently using as a community garden, a community farm. And then we own 311 Hewlett Street, which I'll be talking about tonight, okay, and in addition to two other properties and another plot of land. So we've been serving the community. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so when I initially submitted the application in December 2021, I presented the Steps to Stability project. The Steps to Stability program is designed to help 80 or more Schenectady residents find employment and housing in the city following hardship because of COVID-19, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Duree Community Foundation will use our property located at 311 Hewlett Street to house this project. The second floor apartment will serve as transitional housing. The first floor will be our training facility. We will house 3 residents for a period of 6 months at a time. The program will start in, I had May of 2022 at that time. During this 6 months, we will provide steps: shelter, training, employment, planning, and supplemental aid. Now, I do want to pause and say, are we going to bring 80 residents through transitional housing? No, that's not something. It will be 3 people at a time coming through for a period of 6 months. But the 80 will be served in the trainings, the trainings that we do, and things like the other services that we will do, budget workshops, things like that. Okay. All right. ARPA had different objectives that they wanted met. And so these are the ones that our program met. And you see the numbers next to them: 2.7, job training and assistance, other economic support, and housing support. In addition to that, you can go to the next slide. These are the City of Schenectady community goals that our program meets. We can go to the next one. Emergency housing services, emergency shelter to residents to reduce homelessness throughout the city, programs to provide training, technical assistance, and work. Let me slow down. I feel like I'm rushing. So let me calm down. I'll keep thinking about my mind. You only got 10 minutes. Okay. Foster training to work pipeline, support programs that include training, paid internships, apprenticeships, and mentorship programs focused on local employment sector needs, increase nutritional education, address food insecurity by supporting education and access to affordable and nutritionist food options. So those are the community goals that was set by the city that will meet with our program. Okay. On to the next. Okay, so I want to answer any questions that you may have about my experience, right? Pastor Nikki, why do you think you should get this amount of money? Can you manage this amount of money? I want to tell you about a little bit about the work that I've done. So before coming to the wonderful city of Schenectady, I did serve as the president and vice president of the Asbury Park School District, which that helped me to learn a lot about budgets, about policy, a whole lot of things, right? You all are elected officials, you know. So the other thing that, other experience that I have, I was actually a early Head Start director. I was about 24 when I started working for Early Head Start, and I was about 25 when I became the director, and probably still one of the youngest directors in the state of New Jersey. At the age of 25, I was put over a $2 million grant for babies. And I worked for Community Development Institute, which was the federal interim grantee for Head Start at that time, which meant that this company would go in and they would basically fix Head Start programs that had mismanaged funds or had somehow messed up. And so when I tell you they trained me, they trained me. they trained me. I felt like I was going to training in the beginning, like every week. But it was important because it was like, okay, you have this money, and I ran the program in Newark, New Jersey, the largest city in New Jersey, and that was where that's where I cut my teeth in nonprofit management, was managing these large grants for these little babies and making sure that all of their needs were met. And I learned a lot because with Head Start grants, if you don't spend all the money they give you, you will not get that same amount back the next year. And you have to be a good steward over it. You have to spend it wisely. So anyway, I just want to let you know what my experience is with managing grants, sizable grants, okay? Okay, there may be questions about the sustainability. Okay, we give you this money one time, right? It's a one-time hit, bam. How are you going to sustain the program moving forward, right? Because we don't want to build this up and then have it drown. So some of the things that need to be done: there needs to be a grant writer and a special projects coordinator to oversee how we're going to continue to get funding into this program. And also need to oversee all the reports and all of the things, the data that needs to come in when you get a grant of this size. Also, I want to let you know that we received other grants. We received a grant from the Letitia Hill Gadet Foundation, Dory Community Foundation, and then also I received a grant from the Schenectady Foundation, their Thriving Neighborhoods grant to beautify the corner of Hewlett and Albany Streets. So look forward to the corner looking different soon. Also, sustainability is also attached to tracking the success of our program. And then also having good grant management software, okay? So there's tons of different types of software out there. Think of it as, QuickBooks for grants, you know what I'm saying? But we have to have good grant management software so that we can manage the money and make sure that we're using it for exactly what we said that we would, okay? Does anybody have any questions, or am I just rolling? So far, so good? Mm-hmm. All right, on to the next. Okay, so what have we been doing in the meantime, in between time? Because we submitted the application in 2021. We've been doing the work and we've been getting ready. So we've been working with Stryker, Roth, and Gilmore, the architects right down here on J Street. They've done a lot of work in the city. They worked with SICM, a lot of other nonprofit organizations. Well, we've been working with them getting our drawings together. We've already been through the planning commission. Is it a planning board or planning commission here? Commission here at the city. They have been walking us through this so that, and that's the, what you have on the table there is those blueprints. We've been working with them getting ready, making sure that our building will meet every code, that we have every permit, certification, whatever it is that we need in place. Okay, we can go to the next one. And also, we've been just doing the work. We've been doing this, I mean, this wheel has been rolling before I got here, okay? So, like I said, the church has been there for 187 years. They've been doing the work that long. The nonprofit, Dory Community Foundation, being an arm of the church, and we have a whole separate board of directors for our nonprofit organization, but it's just an arm so that we can do more community work. But we've been doing the work. Okay, so what have we been doing? We've been having meetings since we submitted the application with the community, asking them, what do you guys want? What do we need in this community? And this was a pretty well-attended community, but we also fed people. You know, you tell people you're gonna feed them, they show up. So we had a meeting, we started budget workshops, we've been registering people to vote. We have been feeding people in the community. If you drove past our church this summer, you saw that every Sunday we were out in the parking lot feeding the community, and now when it got cold, we've been doing it every fourth Saturday down in the fellowship hall. So people have been coming and getting fed. And we also, our church served as a vaccine pop-up location during the heart of the pandemic. So we've been doing what we always do, which is the work of the community. So my contact information, I think most of you in here have it, but just in case you don't, there it is. And I think if anything else that I just want to let you know, I want you to know that this is something, the work that we do, we pride ourselves on partnership, right? Like I just said, one of our plots of land on Hewlett Street is currently being used by SICM, right? And if you come to our meetings, you see that we always have community partners there because we know that we need to work with the entire community to get these things accomplished. Okay, so are there any questions? Or are questions okay?
Oh, sure.
Oh. Yes.
What's the age range of the population here?
That we're going to serve in transitional housing. So we've been doing looking at some data. So one thing I learned as a school board member, data-driven, right? And so what is the homeless population here was one question, but also who had hardship as a result of COVID. And when it was mostly your working class, like somewhere between 20 to 40. Only thing we still have up in the air is what population we would be serving as far as gender is concerned. We're not going to mix, we're not going to have men and women in that small space, so it will either be men or women, so that we haven't determined yet.
For the job training?
Oh, for the job training, much lower. I'm sorry, I was just thinking about the transitional housing, because I was working with, go ahead.
So would the people in the housing be in the job training program?
Yes, they can, they can. But the job training is open to a broader group of folks. Yeah.
The survey.
Yes. So let me explain that. So when a person comes into our program, of course, we're going to have to vet them, right, to come into the housing part. But for the job training, a little bit less. It's kind of like, well, let's look to see what jobs there are in our community. Are there jobs in the medical field? Do people need CDL licenses? And whatever it is that is needed, then those are the trainings that we'll present. And so that's open to whoever wants to come. You know, you could be 18 and come to that. Okay. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about the budget? You didn't really talk on this.
Yes. Sure. Okay, so page 11 in your booklet is the budget. Now, okay, so we have staff, which that the salary, benefits, and payroll services that you see there would cover 5 staff members. Okay. Now, we start that out slowly. You know, if we have transitional housing, we decide that we're going to serve women, then we may need a resident assistant to stay, a woman to stay overnight, and things like that. So the staffing and things like that are still kind of being tailored depending on who we serve. A grant, I already put in the presentation about a grant writer, right? And then also we need 2 residence assistants and things like that. Right now, I'm serving basically as the volunteer director for our nonprofit organization. So I'm the pastor of the church, and I'm a volunteer director for that, for the nonprofit. So what you see in those salaries, benefits, payrolls, that's covering the staff for the programs that I talked about in the presentation. Okay. All right. If you go down to location, the renovations. Now that number did change slightly from the first proposal I submitted in 2021 because I'm no construction expert, but apparently prices change, right? The price of materials goes up and down, and then they asked me about the David Bacon's law. Am I saying that? Okay, right. So all of those things went into what exactly it would cost to do the renovations and all of those things. So those are the numbers that you see there. The workshops, equipment, supplemental services. Let me talk a minute about supplemental services. So you let someone come into your training program, and this even happens at the church. Like, we had a young lady come to church a couple weeks ago. She said, I just got a job, but I can't get there. I said, okay, what do you need? Well, I either need a rented car or bus pass. I said, we're a small church. I said, I'll give you a bus pass. we get you a bus pass. And we got our bus pass to get back and forth to work. So the supplemental services is not like they just need the job training, they just need the housing, but we understand that there's other things that they're going to need. They're going to need to get to and from work. They might need clothes for work, and things like that. So that's where the supplemental services come in, and other things that they'll need. And then when people transition out of the program, into their own place, maybe they need money for their deposit or for some furniture or for some food or things like that when they first move in, okay? Then you have basic office supplies, postage, training and licensing. Some of the jobs that we will train people in will be some that they can get licensed, right? Or CDLs or plumbing, electricians, things like that. So we understand that we might need to help with training and licensing. My father is a retired vocational teacher, and there's plenty of young people that he got jobs working in shops right out of high school, right? But they got out with papers in hand to say, I'm qualified to work here. Okay, cleaning supplies are self-explanatory. I think everything else on here is kind of, I don't think I need to go over. But did I, anything?
Yes, your budget is for 1 year? It's a 1 year budget?
So no, this is, no, yes it is. It is a 1 year budget. It is a 1 year budget, yes. Yes, sir.
You proposed $320,000 for salary here and $11,000 for fringe benefits. How'd you come up with that number?
We looked at we went to different companies and kind of came up with the average, if I'm just being honest with you, as far as medical benefits are concerned. And we went a very basic one. So, no, that's not the question. What's the question? I'm sorry.
Well,
It's going to be higher.
it doesn't make sense. You have $320,000 in payroll. Social Security is going to be 6%. So that's going to be $18,000 at minimum. And then any health insurance or other ones above it, so that $11,000 is just too low.
Oh, you're saying the number is too low for the...
Right, you can't.
I think maybe that when I did it, to be honest with you, maybe we took that Social Security out of the 320, but I can redo that and submit it to you if you like. So I don't want to lie, I want to be more accurate with what I submit to you. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, just get it back to Alexandra just so the numbers are there.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that if it moves ahead, there's adequate money there to make sure it's successful.
On Mayor McCarthy, let me also explain this. The staffing, excuse me, and this is not in this because it's not approved by our board as of yet. Why can't I think of it? The chart that shows
The organization.
the different positions that we have. It's understood, at least what we're working on now, that everybody's not rolling out at the same time. So like all of those positions don't come on at the same time, so I want that to be understood as well. So I may have, it's quite possible that I roll those numbers that you're just talking about over into the salaries. So I will fix that for you. Okay? All right, yes.
I was just wondering if any of the positions might be part-time instead of full-time.
Yes,
because
some are part-time.
then perhaps they don't come with benefits. I mean, they'd still have social security.
Social Security.
You know, that stuff.
Yes, some of them are, thank you, some of them are part-time, but also, and that's why I said I didn't put it in there because we're still working on it, but some of them are part-time with the potential of becoming full-time. So it's like, well, let's see how the program rolls out, whether or not that would be something we need. So, okay. But thank you for asking that question. It's gonna make me now go back and really look and make sure I have that together. Or maybe broken down more into a itemized budget for you. Would that be good?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
So for the renovation, so this 437,000, that's just to renovate the property there, which says location? The second? Yeah.
410.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, is that just to renovate the property?
No, so, okay, so if you go to this page here, which is page 10, this is the estimate that we got from our architect. And this he did based off of what I said earlier, that David Bacon's law, which they've come to us with different numbers. When they found out what kind of grant it was, they're like, okay, we got to redo these numbers for you. So they did that for us. So you can see here at the bottom, just for the renovations, that's not including furniture, but just the renovations, they came up with 392, 450. So that's for the renovations of the building, to make it what it should be for transitional housing. So if you look at the blueprint, it's very nice. Like, so these are things I didn't think of, that the architects thought of. So there's a community bathroom, right? But for people's for people to feel, good about when you don't want to throw people in transitional housing that's the pits, right? Because it really doesn't do anything for their self-esteem and for, they just want to get out of there, blah, blah, blah. But on the blueprint, they put sinks in every bedroom. And I was like, can we do that in our building? I didn't know that we could do that in our building. I didn't know we had the plumbing for that. And they said, yeah, well, your plumbing, so it's set up this way, and you can have a sink in the room so that whoever, the guys, the girls, whoever you have, they can freshen up in the room rather than having to use the community. I didn't think about that. You know what I'm saying? So those are the kind of things that are built into those renovations that would make it most conducive for who we're trying to serve. Oh, okay.
Mr. Toro?
So the 450 is the top of the,
Right.
so 410 you decided to put it in there because
That was after we did pricing and looked at what we thought would be, what we could afford, what would be good. And so, not that we don't want our building to be shabby, but we also understand we're not getting a high-end, top of the line,
sure.
marble.
Right.
So,
And then the utilities for $12,530. I mean, I don't want to say they seem low, but just for a year. And then year two, what happens?
so that's where the grant writer comes in. We understand that we're going to need more funding to come through. It's not just grant writing that position should be doing, but it should also be our fundraising, manager and things like that to bring more funding through. We should not, if you get 800,000, 900,000, whatever, from the city or whoever, you need to work that out so that you don't have to come back and ask again. You know what I'm saying? So build in a grant writer, build in someone to do the fundraising and things like that. So that building, we actually have, the utilities have always been on in that building, even though it hasn't been being used. We keep a little bit of water running through pipes so they don't freeze and stuff like that. And so we understand that, it's gonna be more with having the housing upstairs, but we have used that building before, so we do kind of know what the utility bills were before. That building was used as an office for the NAACP. It was used They used to house members of the church who were hit hard times, like parents. It also was an after-school academy at one point, things like that. So we have bills that show us how much we paid for the building to run. So we do have that. So did I answer that?
It does, it just runs a little low for, well, just having many National Grid bills.
Yeah,
But
we have three.
I guess my next question would be, how much are you proposing for salary for a grant writer? And the other thing that you mentioned, that someone's going to be looking for money, you know, right, out of the 320,000 for salary, how much will go for a grant writer, and what are you proposing
So when I was
there?
looking at the average salaries for a grant writer in New York State, it was falling around 75, but considering this person would also be doing our fundraising management responsibilities, that will go up to probably 85.
Okay. And will there be like an administrator or someone in charge? I mean, what would the person who's supervising the whole thing, what would their salary be?
So for right now, that's me. And I would volunteer
It would be
director right now. To be honest, it's not written in. This is not uncommon when you're a pastor that you also serve as a director for your nonprofit that is also connected to the church. So I get a salary from the church.
Sure.
So I'm pretty, not that I don't want like, a raise or something, but I'm okay with getting a
Understood.
salary from the church.
Yeah. So none of the 320 would go to you as a salary?
No. That's
So where-
that's a resident assistant,
Right.
right? And that is probably going to begin as 2 part-time positions. Somebody that's there in the morning and someone that stays overnight. So it's your grant writer, your resident assistant, social worker.
Full-time social worker?
I would like to eventually make that full-time, but
Sure.
it might start off as part-time.
Okay,
Yeah. So those are the positions that you're looking at. And that's
great.
To be honest, I didn't write the director in because moving forward, like years from now, I don't know how long I'll be here. I'm a Methodist pastor, so I get moved by a bishop, okay? But for however long I'm here, I'm going to give my all to this program
Which you have been.
and to
Absolutely.
and to the church, because I don't feel that I'm just appointed to a church. I'm appointed to a community, right? So however long I'm here, I certainly don't mind lending my skills to this organization. I did not write the director. Just be honest.
I guess my last would be, but you did explain the supplemental services
Yeah.
for clothing, transportation, other things that people need, and I think that's very important. A lot of nonprofits are running into the fact that, people can't get to the programming, people don't have enough, so I guess I'm comfortable with that. So.
Thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much of time. I do want. So, living, I choose to. I live in the parsonage, right behind the church, at the house in the parking lot. And sometimes pastors choose not to live in parsonages, right? But I'm from an urban area in New Jersey, so throwing me in the middle of the hood is like throwing a rabbit in the fire pack. I'm comfortable, so put me in a parsonage, I'm fine. But living in the Hamilton Hill section now for almost 5 years, I see people all the time go, you need a lot more than what you're thinking you need to make it or to pull yourself out of this and stuff. So we want to walk with people, not just for that 6 months, but through their journey to becoming stable. That we really do. So I think the supplemental services are key because we understand that just you walking out of our doors doesn't mean you got it all set together. So, okay. Mr. Farmer?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say thank you for the presentation, and more importantly, thank you for the work that you're currently doing. I think that when people are coming to ask for additional resources, one of the best cases you can make for that is the work that you're doing almost without it, so I want to say that. I also want to appreciate the fact that you are designing this with dignity in mind for the people you serve. A lot of times our nonprofits can focus on efficiency as they should, but they leave out that dignity part around that someone doesn't, it's almost like that beggars can't be choosers mentality that we see often that in the nonprofit space, and that can kind of be really off-putting to people. So I want to appreciate those two things. Also, as a larger council, we talked about being equitable in our allocation of funds. So you including a grant writer for sustainability to make sure that this project goes on and that you won't, to your point, necessarily have to come back, which often a lot of nonprofits do. I'm even talking about the big box nonprofits that are here in the city often come back to city for resources because the needs are so great. So I just kind of wanted to highlight those things. That's what I really liked about your presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And whatever happens, we will continue to do the work. We really are. Thank you for the things that you asked me. I will come back with an itemized budget for you, okay? And look that over again. And anything else you might need, just let me know.
A timeline? So we have a timeline on this project?
Yes, that is.
Don't step around.
Oh, but this
Oh,
would
page
need,
8, I think.
would need to be updated now? This is the old application? So it would need to be updated then, because this is from the original application, yes? Or no?
No, those are the new
New, this is a new one?
Yeah,
Okay.
October, so October is a start date.
Okay. October.
Yeah, I mean, we know we have to go through the process, the city's process as far as the building and zoning and all those things are concerned. That's why we started it already. These blueprints have already been seen by the planning commission, right? We already started those things. So, and we were and hope to continue to work with the Empowerment Center. They're the ones who gave us our list of contractors. We said, okay, who can we work with? So they gave us who the city would want us to work with. And so we invited those contractors over. We gave them donuts and coffee. They looked at the whole building for us. And so, and all of those things. We got pictures of that, so that happened. So we've already started the process. So I think October, it might look like that's like pretty soon, but I don't think it is, considering that we've already got started.
So is it conceivable that if you got things moving along quicker, then there could be an early start date?
Yes, absolutely.
And I did have one other question. In terms of breaking down, could you break down the number of positions and the positions?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will give you, that's
Yeah,
what I'm trying to
okay.
think, organizational chart.
Yeah.
I'll give you the organizational chart. If you could, can I get it to you, when do you need by a certain time? Because we have a board meeting, but I can reschedule if needed. To approve our organizational chart.
Ms. Flynn?
By March 11th.
By March 11th? Okay, I'll go to board.
One you might need to consider is contracting grant services and fundraising services rather than hiring a person internally. So it's something to consider. Could be some savings there.
Okay,
With benefits.
thank you.
And if they're not as effective as you'd hope, you can have contract and look for someone else rather than bringing an employee on.
Thank you, I'll consider that. Thank you. This is good stuff.
Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take this out. Thank you very much.
We will now have a presentation by the YWCA Arbor House. The YWCA currently has $750,000 of ARPA funds allocated, and they received a 6-month extension that will be up on March 12th. The acts today with their presentation is that we lower the leverage amount that's in the resolution, which is $21 million to a 9-to-1 match, which is roughly $7 million. If we lower the match, that would allow the YWCA to move forward with their ARPA contract. So hopefully today Ms. Kim can get some clarity on the progress and which they have made. They did have an ask for an additional $1.5 million of ARPA funds, and knowing that ARPA funds are limited, the development department has been working with them to secure other funding. So with their New York State Home ARP application and with our internal home funds that are geared towards affordable housing, our specialists on the team is just re-looking at our numbers that we will have left on the table to support this project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so I didn't make all tons of copies. This is paper, and it's just the PowerPoint presentation. So here's a couple of people could just share. I think there's 8 or 9 copies
Well,
there.
that's a lot. You have, yeah.
So it should be good. And
Yeah, I
then
think it should be
this,
okay.
I was not able to put into the presentation, but these are the floor plans of the new Early Learning Center. So I wanted to talk a little bit about those. Can you all hear me without this, or is this required?
That's required so that.
And it's on?
Public, yes, it is. We're doing this on.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So obviously, YW has been in the community for quite a long time as well, 135 years as of 2023. And our mission, eliminating racism and empowering women and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. So you go to the next one. And we are absolutely on a mission. This project has been in the works since 2017, and the city has been a huge support to the YW over all of those years. We've worked with, I was looking at all the pictures of the different politicians up on the board, the mayors, and 5 or 6 of them I know. So I've been here 22 years, and know most of you from a lot of different venues that the Y has offered. But we did submit an ARPA application, and we were lucky to receive, we just had the mayor in Alexandria there for a little photo op last week for our $64,000 that we received for our critical needs repair. So that is under contract already, and that is for the water main. We need to upgrade our water main, a soffit repair in the building, a number of windows in the building. The building's almost 95 years old, and it was erected in 1929, started to be built then, done in 1930, and a group of 12 women raised $1 million to build it as a YW in the stockade. So that building that we are in has always been a YWCA. And in 2017, just newly appointed as the executive director, we had a discussion around, do we sell the building and build something else, or do we stay? And that is when we met Terry and Andrea from Zenolith. But the YW's programming has been ongoing. Comprehensive domestic violence support services, affordable housing for homeless and low-income women, early learning education, and economic empowerment solutions. And we serve over 7,000 individuals and families throughout the greater capital region annually. And here's a little bit more expansion on the programming that we offer and why the building renovation as well as expansion is so incredibly important. We have now a $1 million rapid rehousing program, which started out with 1 DV bonus through CARES, and now we have 4 DV bonus projects that really provide housing opportunities for folks in the community. And then our housing program is also supported through NYSHIP dollars and our Rosa House program, which has 20 apartments out in the community. We've got our YW Strive program, which is economic empowerment, and we rent currently from Redburn at 508 State Street. We were renting from Pallet, but they are no longer in Schenectady. We took over the top floor. And so we do all kinds of economic support services there. We have a clothing boutique. We do monthly sessions with folks in the community. We also go into the jail to provide Strive sessions. And we're also working with folks, as Nicole brought up, supplemental services are incredibly important. You don't just get somebody a job, you get them shoes if they're working in construction, you get them scrubs if they're going into nursing. Those things are incredibly important for somebody to feel confident in a new job. Our early learning childhood centers, currently we have 2 centers, one at SUNY Schenectady and one at SUNY and one at our main campus. We serve about 60 kids. And then we just received in 2024 a $500,000 youth violence prevention grant from the Office for Violence Against Women, and we'll be doing school outreach and a lot of other activities and hiring 2 new staff people to get that grant up and running. And clinical support. Our clinical arm has grown. We typically had counselors working at the YW. We now have hired a number of clinicians who work with individuals in groups as well as in the jails and do community sessions. Next slide. So Zenith is our partner. They are a workforce mixed-use community development group. Terry Belkis Mitchell and Andrea Kretschmer are the two principals there. They have a large variety of experience. They've created 900 residential units and 63,000 square feet of community facilities. We have been working with them since 2017, and what drew us to them is that they are a certified women-owned business. So incredibly important to the YW and our mission. Here is our beautiful building. So this is a very old picture of some of its initial days. You can see the old sign here and the beautiful ivy growing up. And then this is more recent with our new sign, no ivy. And I don't know if this has our renovated steps, but we just recently did receive an award from the Stockade Association for the renovation of our front steps. And that was also CDBG funding that helped support that, so thank you. Next. So here's the goals and objectives of the building project. To improve living conditions, modernize and expand the program spaces to better meet the needs of the YW and the community, generate new streams of capital to help provide long-term financial stability for us, preserve our history of 136 years at 44 Washington Avenue, and also that we're continuing to support our community and people who need our assistance and support until they're ready to be sustainable and go back out on their own. And resiliency in the community by utilizing green building methods whenever possible. Next. So here's our existing conditions, okay? So you've got our main building here, our playground, you've got our Navia's house, and our Mary Hill house. And so you can see that we have a pretty big plot of land, 3 buildings, and it goes all the way back here to the river. So those are existing conditions. Next. And here is the proposed site plan. Still got the buildings here, here, and here. This is the addition of the new building. So the new building will be 54 units of supportive housing, studios and 2 bedrooms, and supportive office spaces. And we will have 4 families, also units as well, family units. The historic building will get an adaptive reuse with 44 supportive housing apartments, YWCA office and program space, and a community facility with programming open to the public. The Mary Hill house, which is the bigger house, currently has 13 women living there, will be unchanged, and we've just done a huge update through DASNY dollars, Dormitory Authority dollars, that we received that we've been working on for the past 5 years. Navia's house is right here, and we have applications ready to go to the Preservation League of New York State. This is one of the oldest buildings in the Stockade. It was actually moved from back here to the front of the property in about the 80s. And so we have a number of applications out, among others, to get that building renovated. Total increase in units will be up to 60 units. And then our early learning program will move to an off-site location with expansion from 60 available childcare slots to over 100. This is a proposed rendering of the new building. Yes, it is ooh and ah, it's gorgeous. We've been working with architects as well as engineers, map architects, GPI, Krista Construction, just to name a few of the folks we're working with. So this would be the new building. You'd have parking go down and be underneath this building, the new building. It is all above the new flood plain. Okay? And that's a view from the street. So this is our little Navia's house. This is our current main building, and then that's the new building in the back.
Yes.
And this is the side view. So again, this is kind of all the way in the back of our building. This is our current building. This is the gym windows. This is where the accessibility ramp is. Some of you have been behind our building. So this is that view. Okay. So funding acquired. We have $750,000 from the city of Schenectady through ARPA. We did request $1.5 million additional. Alexandria brought up that we do have a contingent $1.7 million from Home ARP. We have $5.6 million HHAP dollars, which is the Homeless Housing and Assistance Program. We have $1.5 million in ESHI, Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative. And then we're almost ready for our property tax abatement approval. We've been working with Metroplex, so we're just waiting for, we've already submitted it, just waiting for the okay. Then these are kind of the ones I just talked about, the critical needs repair, that's ARPA dollars. And we just got notification of another $50K for additional critical needs. While we've been waiting to get the project off the ground, obviously our building is old. It's 95. So think of us as 95. So it needs help. So we're trying to get some things done out of the way because it needs to be done. So this is what those dollars cover. Okay? Funding in the works. Congressman Tonko called me today. So this is perfect timing. So thank you. Congressman Tonko said by the end of this week, we will have the $850,000. It is in the bill. It is going to be passed. It's already been discussed. It's just really a formality. So that is going to be put into our buckets. We plan to reapply to HCR Hallmark during the next round in summer 2024. We already applied, but they wanted to see the project a bit more fleshed out with a bit more dollars in the buckets over here, and then we'll apply again. We did have an additional request, as Alexandra pointed out, in our letter that we sent to you on 1/26 for 1.5 million additional. We've submitted our updated pilot and sales tax exemption to Metroplex, and we'll be getting in a federal home lending bank application submission. And then in early 2025, HFA construction loan closing. We've been working with Darren from HFA and Russell to get this all going by shovel in the ground early 2025. And the last slide. So what we've been working on, the main campus. Spectrum has been on site doing an abatement estimate because we want to get the numbers for what we will need to do to get the building, which is 95, anything to do with asbestos and lead and all of the other things you would find in a 95-year-old building. So we're getting that ready. The water main proposal is at the city for approval. So once we have that, we'll be utilizing CDBG dollars to get that project done. And we just finished a large cloud point measurement project, which I had no idea what this was, but they bring somebody in, and this was from Reform Architecture, and they measure every room with a laser. So they go room to room to room to room, and we have a lot of rooms and closets in our building, and they measure it all, and they create a huge puzzle so that when we are ready to start the renovation on the old building, they know exactly what they have to work with. And so in the early learning, we have a proposal to move the ELC to an off-site location near Rotterdam. The owner of the property is allowing us time to create funding sources. We've been working with Metroplex on that. The early learning funding package will include Empire State Development dollars, Office of Children and Family Services dollars, local foundations, the Catalyst program, Community Loan Fund, Metroplex, and ARPA through the county. Reform Architecture has completed the fit out, and Krista Construction is creating the development cost package. Should have this ready to submit for applications within a week, like we're really close. So that's going to be the first step, is to get the early learning center out, and then both the new campus and the existing building will take place all at the same time. And that is why this is a huge project with a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces. And the picture that you also have there that I could not fit onto the PowerPoint is the fit out of the early learning center done by Reform Architecture. We're looking at that to be a $6 to $7 million project in itself, and what I just showed you is 40+ million that we'll be putting in place, and a 5-year project that we've been working on. Can I answer any questions?
Yeah, so are you losing parking?
No, we have the necessary parking for the number of people who will be on the campus. So I can't tell you if I'm losing parking or not, but I know we went and got the right number.
Oh, okay.
Do you have another one?
Mr. Toro?
Wow, you got it all going on.
Yeah.
Grants, funding, I mean, everything you have, everything in order.
Yeah.
Extremely impressed.
Thank you.
I know I spoke at the YW before, and you know how important domestic violence is to me on a personal level for many different reasons. So I thank you for everything you do. Taking the daycare, early childhood out of the city, will that create any transportation issues for moms or?
The location we're looking at is right on a main thoroughfare without giving away too much information, so
Sure.
it's literally a mile up the street.
Oh.
I mean, we're not going out of the city too far.
Okay,
We're going a mile to maybe 2 miles away.
that was just a.
So I think that will be
concern.
okay.
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Sure. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
But would the daycare center still stay at the SUNY SCCC?
Not sure about that. We're not sure.
You don't
We're
know.
thinking of making it a comprehensive program. As many of you know, childcare right now is a huge lack for people to find good childcare in the community, any community that you're in, and having enough teachers to do that
Yes.
is critically needed. And we don't have enough teachers, and we're thinking that potentially by combining, that we would have a better control over being able to staff it all by having everything at one site versus at two different sites, because regulations, licensing numbers take into effect in both places then, so that then you have to split teachers sometimes. So
Mr. Mancini?
54 units, how did you come up with that number?
the architecture, the architect and the developers, it's all, but I have all the units already drawn out and split out and happy.
Will that be easy or a challenge?
I'm not in charge of that. Is it a challenge? Absolutely, it's a challenge. It's a 95-year-old building with lots of, brick and mortar that's going to have to be moved, but they've come up with it. We meet every week. I look at the pictures every week. I can send those over if you want them, so you can see them, but yeah, the new building's 54 units, and then we're increasing the units at the current building as well.
Mr. Farley?
So first of all, I want to say bravo for all the work you guys are doing. Definitely appreciate the work that the YWC does in the community. Being someone who's witnessed it for many years, so definitely appreciate that. Just question. It seems like this expansion would likely end up in creating some more jobs, hopefully for the Y as well. And just from curiosity, are you kind of looking to maybe hire from within the ranks of maybe some of the people that are taking advantage of your services?
Okay, so let me answer that. Wonderful question, thank you. So yes, and yes. So the plan is that we are going to obviously expand the number of people working at the YW, which will include some of our residents having opportunities as well. Not only we'll have two buildings, we'll have additional requirements in regards to social work and case management and maintenance and childcare. All of those things will increase, so we'll be creating more jobs. Can't give you a definite number on that, but we can't get bigger and keep our staffing the same way. We've grown since 2016 from a $3 million budget to a $5.1 million budget now. And I only see this being close to a $10 million budget when all is said and done. The eShy dollars are to support programming, so that will help us get the staffing we need. Other questions? Oh, sorry.
Anybody else? That's great. So just to be clear, your ask is not for additional, so you're taking the 1.5 million ask off the table, is that correct?
Alexandria said I am.
Okay.
And asking you to lower the required match that you had put on there, because if we go back to the dollars, can we just go back to the dollars? This one. So now we have over 7 million. Once the 850 comes in, we'll be over 8 or 9, so we're getting real close. So I think we'd like the match lowered is more important to us.
Okay. Mayor, did you want to?
Madam President, what I would ask is that the council amend the matching funds criteria to the money that is on the table now. And again, as it's been outlined here, there's ongoing discussions with other funding streams at the state level. This project has moved slower than some people would have liked, but we've made Crane Street a priority for that $27 million project that went in. We've got that money lined up. That's under construction. I've made it clear to the state now that this is the #1 project that I want to happen in the city of Schenectady, and that the dialogue is dynamic, it's ongoing, and I'm very confident the money is going to be lined up for it. The problem is it's not right there today. It's got to go through the budget approval April 1st, and then there's still application process on it. But I feel comfortable with the team that's in place that this is all going to come together, and within a year they're going to be in the ground and be able to move ahead with it.
So what is the dollar number that you wanted to match that
It's ready.
The seven, what's the total match that you want to lower to, Ms. Carter?
I put in a request roughly in 9-1, which was 7 million. They have a little bit more than that.
Yes, well, the other match was kind of high. Oh, we came up with some of those numbers. All right. Oh, yeah, this is the second.
I think it was the full amount.
I beg your pardon?
The match was the full amount, what we said the proposed project was at that time.
1-1. Got
And in this, the other factor is still the dynamics of pricing within the market. So even though we have what are good numbers today, they might not be good numbers in August or September or next March.
it. Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
but the state understands that. I think all the participants understand that and want the project to move ahead. And so that I'm comfortable and able to say we're going to have the money lined up to make this happen.
Okay, so as you continue your package, the ask is that to lessen the match that the Y will allow the Y to move forward with the ARPA contract.
At the existing level, the 750,000.
I think yes. Yes, do you have a question? Yes.
So, excuse my mask. So at the present time, we have no additional funds. So if we approve to lower the current match, that work progressing, will that disrupt if we are not able to meet your additional ask?
No, they took the additional ask.
Or you can take it off?
We were taking it off because we were given the 1.7 home ARP contingent, which replaces the city
1.5
that we asked for, right?
So the 1.7 is still city dollars, it's just not ARPA dollars.
Right.
Thank you.
We found a different bucket. There's a lot of buckets.
Yes, Ms. Pender?
So we, are you looking for a motion to do that right now? I mean,
Unless
it's
there's-
not, or should we do it into a committee, or can I just make that motion to
Well,
lower
it's during the
the?
presentation, so we have to do it during the committee. And we can
Okay.
probably do it during the ARPA allocations.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, any other questions? Thank you for your presentation. Oh, and thank you very much. I appreciate the work that you do. It's been said before, so thank you for continuing to work, and glad we'll be able to partner with you.
Thank you for all your support. We do appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, Ms. Carver, I'll just say that the Carver Community Center presentation will not happen this evening. Okay. So with that, we'll, Finance Committee.
I'd like to call Finance Committee to order, please. We have, actually, the glasses back on. We have 6 items on the agenda. The first being the Beavis Hill Property Lease Agreement. I turn the floor over to Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. So, yes, I'll let Mr. O'Brien speak to this.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Madam Chairman and Madam President. Working with the Assessor's Office, we request 2 weeks for a report to the committee. If I get it before then, I'll send it out before then.
Right. So the assessor has not had the opportunity to get out there yet. So it was, people were getting their STAR applications in, so it was very, very busy down there.
It was a very
Yeah.
busy week for the
And
assessment
so-
exemption week.
She wasn't able to do that, but and we will have it
Yeah.
in 2 weeks or before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much
No,
for that.
thank you.
So the next item is the North College Street Special Assessment District. Are we moving forward with that this evening in Mr. Mudavar's absence, or should we?
It's just a reminder that we're
Oh,
having.
that's just a reminder, that's
Yeah.
right, that we're, okay.
There'll be a public
And the
hearing.
public hearing will be on March 11th, 2024. So then the next item is the seeker item, and Mr. Gugamon, where did you go? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you.
Good evening. So number 3, I'm actually going to take off. It was determined that the 2024 projects are type 2 and are not a significant adverse impact on the environment. So we'll take that one off.
Okay, thank you.
Number 4, bond ordinance for the 2024 capital improvements. Just a reminder, City Council already approved the capital 2024 budget. So it is recommended that the council approves the aggregate amount of $9,865,500, including cost of issuance.
Okay. So do we have any questions about that? for a motion, please, then, to authorize the 9865500.
So moved.
May I have a second? Oh, I guess it's me, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda are the revised green fees and rates for the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course. So, Mr. Daly, Mr. Wallace.
No, Chris should be coming down any minute, but I can answer your questions as we get going. So, yeah, we have a proposal to raise the rates across the board for the golf course this year. And, everything that's on the agenda tonight for the golf course are all kind of intertwined.
Yes.
So the rate increase is based upon the potential maintenance agreement that we're going to be going into agreement with. And we're confident that the increase in rates is going to offset all the costs that we're going to incur this year. And, one thing that we've always been very prideful of is that we don't become a burden on the taxpayers for the city. We're more of a self-sustaining entity for the city. So, any of those costs that are incurred go and fall upon the player to handle those costs for us. And as I've always said, anytime that we're doing, projects to improve the facility, players are more apt to sort of look the other way when we have those increases, because they're never popular, and we get that. But unfortunately, that's something that you have to do each year. You have to look into all the increases across the board in terms of materials and resources that you're getting for the course. And yeah, you have to raise rates accordingly. So, do you have any questions on that end?
Mr. Williams?
So I know we've definitely made some investments and definitely the services you offer within the community, although I haven't come for my golf lessons yet, I'm still on the schedule. But definitely I wanted to ask, is this market leading, or where does this put us in comparison to other municipalities?
Yeah, so we're pretty much falling right in line with all the other, you're asking like where do our rates stand in comparison to other
With these
facilities?
increases, yes.
Yeah, we'll be pretty much right in line with everybody else. Very seldom are we ever higher than anybody else. I know that from what I was talking to their golf professional at Town and Colony Golf Club, they're going to be making a rate increase. I don't know if they've approved that or if they've done it yet, but theirs are going to be higher than us. And so we usually fall right in line with just about everybody else, if not lower.
Mr. Crowley, did you have a question? I thought you were.
Oh, no, I was just saying.
Oh, okay, I thought you were raising your hand.
Mr. Wallen has
A much better course, too.
Okay.
I agree.
Mr. Wallen has arrived, so, but, I mean, do you want to still take these as one motion, or do you want to describe the larger, the next project? I'm sorry?
We have to take them on.
Yeah, okay. They are related, but, okay, so I'd like to have a motion to...
I just want to...
Oh, sure.
I just wanted to ask if Mr. Wallen, if you need to add anything before we move this particular one?
No, we were just on the revised green fees and rates.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so a motion to accept the revised green fees and rate increases as recommended by the Finance Commissioner and the Golf Professional.
So moved.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to the budget reallocation for the municipal golf course.
We'll let Chris handle that.
Okay, Mr. Waller.
So now we've passed the rates and fees. My apologies for being late. You guys just blew through those items. I don't know, like they disappeared. So the...
Efficiencies are...
I know. So what we have here, this budget reallocation is based off of the numbers that we just approved there. It increases proportionally what we feel that the revenues will be for the year, based off of what we did, as well as increasing our expense line to match for the upcoming legislative to approve a contract for our maintenance of the golf course.
Okay, any questions? I'll look for a motion. I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next item is, oh, that's it on this. So I'd call for a motion to adjourn finance.
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. I'd like to call to order City Development and Planning. We have 9 items on the agenda. The first item is to authorize the issuance of a revocable permit number 682 to Bundles by Tierra. Mr. Wallen.
Yep, this is a revocable permit, the former Bombers Burrito location. It says Bundles by Tierra, but if you notice the sign, Bundles by Tierra is essentially the LLC. The sign says something different. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware. Sometimes that happens with this. But the sign is approved by planning, and it will be replacing the sign that formerly said Bombers.
Any questions? All right, entertain a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second item, award bidding contract for the 2024 Schenectady CHIPS paving program to Peter Luisi and Brothers.
Yep. So this is our annual paving program. This year we were able to get it out on time, which was great. We got 4 bids, if you'll see. The bids were, the top 2 bids were actually the closest bids in the history of me bidding anything. So if you look at it, we had the 2 bids were $3.3 million separated by $10,000, which is a 0.3% discrepancy. So really exceptionally close. We did put adults in there. However, my budget for the project was approximately $3 million. I was hoping that, we get some competitive pricing. I really didn't want to overextend ourselves with going with the ad alternates at this time.
Yes, Mr. Arlen.
So I guess just questioning around just irresponsible. We've been hearing people come to the rail and talk about minority or women-owned businesses. This company, do they have a good track record? And it's okay if you don't have the information off the top of your head as far as number one, are they MWBE, and do they do any subcontracting with any MWBEs, local businesses here?
They do subcontracting. The big thing that we're going to have to do is, with Ron, is with this particular program, what we usually do is we have to first take out the value of the asphalt and some of the materials. That's always the problem with this contract, is it's a $3.3 million job, but essentially 2/3 of it is material costs. Will I say that this contractor has always met their goals? No. I don't believe I can say that now. I've been working with all of them for so long, but the issue is that with the paving contractors in general, all the ones we work with, we always struggle with meeting the numbers because the costs are just so high and the work is so specific to they're bidding it as a paving company and it's a paving project. So it does get, but we have, Ron is very familiar with all of them, and he's trying to get, not only the EEO component, which is the workforce, but trying to get subcontractors, which is, minority businesses. And we do not award, I guess the term would be is, the process is that we put this out, we bring it to you for approval of award, but the mayor does not sign a contract. We do not sign a contract until we are confident they had met or done a good faith effort with Ron. So this is the step. But even today, just to let you inside of how it works, Ron is still right now weekly working with our other contracts on projects that you approved possibly 2 cycles ago, just to get there. But we want to make sure that you're comfortable in awarding it. We don't want to put the cart before the horse. So that's what we're doing right now. And we have in the past come back and had to rework things. We don't like to, but if Ron's not comfortable with the job, then that's a big deal for us.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I'll take second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 3 is the award and bidding contract for the crack sealing of city streets 2024 Seal Coat USA.
So crack sealing is our first line of defense. We try to crack seal roads that we paved within the last 3 to 5 years. Crack sealing the roads prevents moisture from getting into the crack, moisture from freezing, which usually used to occur, and popping it with ice. So we will, Seal Coat was the company that we used last year. They put in a good bid, very similar to last year's numbers, even though we have a whole full year later. We have no issues with it. So we'd like to move forward. This is something that, once the weather breaks, we try to get in right in April, May.
Does the city ever do any of this work like in-house at all with the crack sealing? Have we ever done that?
We have before, yes.
But we're no longer doing that.
I can't confirm if we do it still, but we do have the equipment and we are aware of how to do it, but it just comes down to what our priorities are at the time. Because we have a street crew, labor varies. So if we have it, we can do it. If not, I don't think so. There's a lot of priorities that they're working on. But we do have what's called like a kettle and a trailer rig that we would tow behind to do crack sealing. The difference is the difference of production and kind of local forces, whereas this is, local forces could be good for side streets in small areas. This production is just a whole different level where, you know, they set up with a rack truck. It's almost like a train like you see with our hot mix pavement, and they can do essentially all of Erie Boulevard in an afternoon. You know, they go down all the way. We had to work on Erie Boulevard on a weekend, and they got in a Saturday afternoon, they were able to crack seal all of Erie Boulevard because it's a train system. They have 6 people that they put full time and they work straight till it's done. So we found a really good economy of scale working with contractors to do it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Toro?
I will say that last week, a couple of city trucks were out with, the, you know, it's the bright black sealant. They were on Union Avenue, like.
Yep, that is a different product, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But yes.
They were out last week filling a lot of potholes.
Yeah, that's
on
like a
Union
polymer
Avenue.
pothole seal that uses a hot material. That works very well.
Yeah, thank you.
That really becomes a permanent fix
Oh,
as
yeah.
opposed to cold patch, which
Right.
gets bounced out.
It's almost like linoleum, black linoleum, shiny.
Very shiny.
Yeah, yeah. I was impressed. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And item number 4, to authorize the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract with Terra Amend for the maintenance of the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course.
Yeah, so, as many of you are aware, our former superintendent at the golf course of 25 plus years retired last year. The city put out an RFP. We got 3 responses, reviewed the 3 responses. I didn't include everything, but we got 3 responses. We evaluated the 3 responses. The evaluations are in your package. The evaluation committee consisted of myself, Mr. Daly, and Mr. Gordy Fulani, who is the president of the golf course committee. We did interviews of all 3 firms, and then we evaluated it using the criteria set forth in the RFP. We evaluated and found that the best proposal was from a company called TerraMend. TerraMend is locally owned and operated. Some of the people there are from a local course, which I don't want to name at this time, and they're very familiar with the area. Their references of local courses were very high. Matt, would you like to say Matt is aware of the group? So similarly, what we received, because I know you don't have everything in front of me because it's rather thick, is we essentially received a local, a regional, and a national interest. All of them were actually surprisingly good. I think Matt and I were actually surprised with just how much we enjoyed the regional firm and then the national firm. However, to have that name in the face and to know the people, that is a big deal. Also to have someone that is local, as in local. Like I could ride my bike to where they are, they know the area, they know the people in this particular industry, because one of the things that we are learning is that the industry is based on who you know, some of the insider things regarding to we have equipment that gets maintained, but some of it's specialty, so you need to know the people in the industry around here who do maintain it. And that was all the things that Mike did know. In addition, this particular group is going to be working with Mike as a sub-consultant to help out, because we still will have that manual irrigation system in place until the summer, which is a big deal. And you need to know where all the valves are buried and things like that. So we're able to procure Mike as a consultant to help us. Matt, did you want to add anything?
Yeah. One of the things we found very impressive with this company was when they listed their proposals, they were the only ones that listed all the individuals that are going to be performing the duties of the work. So they listed a superintendent, an assistant superintendent, all their laborers. The other companies, the regional and national, well, that's sort of what they do. They come in and they perform the maintenance agreement. They don't have a staff in place. You know, times of the essence now, I mean, the groundhog's ever going to have an early spring. So we're moving forward. I mean, facilities are actually opening now. So we don't have a lot of time. And so that, Chris and I felt much more confident knowing they have their people in place. That's one less thing to worry about, instead of having to come back and say, who's going to be our superintendent, who's going to be our assistant, who's going to be all the people on staff. They already have their ducks in a row. So it was very impressive on that end, but also talking to them, their expertise and knowledge of a manual irrigation system, because we're still going to have that in operation going forward as the season starts. And I should say that the company that's doing the irrigation work has already started dropping equipment and supplies off, so it's pretty impressive when you go up there and see all the stuff that's in place to get this project done. So very exciting time right now.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
I'll
Ms.
just
Pat.
say that I really appreciate the fact that it is a team of these local players, and I'm really thrilled that Mike is going to be, you know, the consultant in that regard as well. So that's just really a bonus for us.
So this is a 3-year base.
Yep, it's a 3-year base contract with 2 one-year extensions that we could invoke.
And so I see the increases would be 1.5 for each year, so that would stay the same, there would be no change in that?
For those, yes.
For those 2 years?
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of the information that you said is actually in our
It is
packet,
in there,
people's
yeah.
names and
The resumes.
resumes and everything. So it's here, so that is good to see. And I also something said about the MWBE participation plan. So looks like they've covered a lot of that. They worked with Mr. Gardner, but they at least took the time and effort to make sure that that was addressed.
Right.
So,
Yep, they were very, very impressive.
and they are relatively local, I see where they are.
Yes, and, you know, I guess Mike was an outstanding individual to credit with everything he's done. The only silver lining that I'm going to take away of this as someone who's managed the golf course for over 10 years now is that this is going to allow me to learn a little bit more. We're going to find out the things that Mike was, you know, essentially Band-Aiding over. You know, we've already talked about some things that, you know, we need to do better, some of the equipment that we might need to buy to help us out, things that, you know, if you have somebody that's been there for a long time, they gloss over a lot of things. So I'm very much anticipating what we're going to learn and how we're going to handle it. But I think it will be good for us as a business. You know, we operate that golf course as a business. Sure.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for coming.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, you do the same thing. The next item on the agenda is called ARPA. Ms. Park?
We meet again. Outside of what we heard today, we knew that Doree Empowerment Center was still pending. We know that the YWCA had an extension that was up, that will be up March 12th. The Cocoa House is still pending their contract. I'm working on updating the contract for mayor review again. He has some suggestions, just haven't been able to get to that just yet, but I will be prioritizing that this week. And we have the Electric City Co-op. Still working that out. Their extension date is March 12th. They still do not have site approval. So more to come on that, hopefully the next meeting. I do have a follow-up meeting with Eric and his team on tomorrow. The other subrecipients are in contract, are in full contract. We're thankful for that. I still need from City Council a decision on the request that came in for additional funding, the Bethesda House, the Create Studio, and the YMCA.
Well, at this time, I think it's pretty clear there's no additional funding. And I think we talked about this, I'm not sure if that was me, that you weren't, when you weren't there, that we just don't have the funding right now. We'd have to see if other funding is going to come back, but that's not 100% right now. So we haven't, our answer right now is that there is no funding left.
I understand there's no funding, but how do I proceed with the subrecipients? Will there be a letter? Will there be a denial, or are you asking the Department of Development to do that?
Well, I would say that we don't get to do that part of it.
Okay.
So that between the mayor's office and the Department of Development, we don't get to do that staff work.
Okay. staff work.
Yeah, because we're the council, so we don't get to do that.
I'm just messing with
Mayor made it very clear to us, that we don't tell his staff what to do.
but that is your update.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Toro.
Yes, hi. So we had discussed earlier that there may be an additional $50,000 hanging out there somewhere when all is said is done, if nothing's sent back to us. Of course, there'd be more. I did make a recommendation that we put that out to Holy Name of Jesus for their basketball court, which was kind of not agreed upon or shot down. But I would like to request, the Concern for the Hungry had put an initial ARPA application in for $100,000 for a ride share program. And we heard earlier, of course, from Pastor Nicole how important it is to have money set aside for rides. So I would like to see if we could allocate that $50,000, if that's what's said and done, to the Concern for the Hungry for ride share programs, allowing individuals to get to food pantries to and from with their groceries. It is a program that the Concern for the Hungry has been playing with, and it has been working out through either Lyft or the CDTA or Uber. So it's definitely been working on their behalf with what little bit of money they have. So I'd like us to consider that for Concern for the Hungry if we end up with that $50,000 in excess.
Mr. Williams.
Yep, and I just want to add as a point of clarification, it wasn't that the funds, or at least from my part, that they were shot down or disapproved. It was that we can't allocate funds that we don't currently have. And I think it was a collective agreement that until we are presented with funds to distribute, rather than having individual projects or organizations teetering on a whim, we thought it was more prudent to them and ethically sound to just say, unfortunately at this time, I would caution that until the deadline has passed for the Dury/Empowerment Center, those funds are still allocated directly to those programs, hence allowing them the time to fully exhaust the current allocation. That's where I kind of see.
Yes, Mr. Toro.
Oh, I would just like to say that, at the table, I believe it was Mr. Mudavera, and I would have to look into it, that said that there's more than enough programming and parks in Mount Pleasant that he would not be in favor of moving that forward. So that's
Mr. Mudavera.
right. That's why I put it out there. So yes, thank you.
Well, a couple of things. When we talked about this last time, we talked about the fact that Concern for the Hungry was included in the money that was allocated. Their name was allocated. So I say that we have to, in terms of the food, we should be talking to the Schenectady Foundation as to where they are with that, as opposed to trying to do this separate and apart. And that is what we discussed, and I think that's where we left it, and that's what really needs to happen at this point in time. And also to make sure that it's a way that we can use it, because my understanding is that they want to actually buy people bus passes or things to do that. You did, okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Uber and different things, which is pretty pricey actually. So you did mention those kind of things. So I say that we put all the food together, and we should continue down that path. And let me also remind you, everyone, that Proctors came Proctors came back and wanted to change their use, and that money had already been brought back into the ARPA funds that we had. So we had some discussion about seeing what was left to do that, and that was $76,000. So I just want to remind you that that's out there as well. Ms. Patrick.
But can I just respond to you? We had a dialogue going here, so.
Well, okay. I'm just talking to everyone.
No,
specifically.
she can finish. So I guess my question would be, how did all these funds get combined in, all these applications get combined into food, into how did that happen? Was it the panel that we had?
That happened in the Department of Development.
Okay, that happened in
Prior
development.
to Ms. Carter.
Okay, so how can we, or how do we reach out to the Schenectady Foundation to, Carmel can probably answer this, but how do we reach out to them where this $100,000 request was for Concern for the Hungry, where it is and how it will be spent out of their ARPA funds?
Well, that would come again from the Department of Development,
Okay.
but what I think that we should probably do is there was a larger ask than all the money that was given, just so you know. Everybody asked for a lot more than was initiative finally given. So if you want the breakdown of all the different organizations and what their ask was, we can provide that. And then if I remember correctly, not everyone got the whole thing. We just thought that it would be easier and better for organizations who are focusing on the same type of thing to work together to do it collectively, as opposed to various organizations out there, each of them doing it separately, which is how that was come to get. Now, it wasn't there at the table, but that was explanation that was provided to us by the Department of Development, that it just made more sense for those people who are working on the same thing, which is food insecurity, would do that work together.
Thank you.
Ms. Patrick.
Well, I just want to clarify that the Concern for the Hungry, as it turned out, I think we were giving, they would have taken that funding and actually given it to food pantries, who then would use it to help people get the transportation that they needed, especially to go home from a food pantry, because you're carrying bags of food, and a lot of folks don't have cars. So that, unfortunately, back then when that discussion was had and we gave all the money to the one entity and hoped that they would parcel it out in a certain way, it wasn't necessarily accurate. So that transportation is still an incredible need out there. I hope that maybe we could work with the Schenectady Foundation. I'd be willing to help with that kind of thing. I know we've had some conversations with them, but I don't think we ever really came to any final. Right.
Correct. The Department of Development did try to work as a liaison to figure out what happened. And in the resolution, Concern for Hungry was supposed to be included in the coalition, but the Schenectady Foundation had the authority to create the coalition. And they weren't included. And it seemed like there were some, maybe some personal things between the two organizations that were outside of my scope.
And there might be misunderstandings, I think, on both as well, so I think we need to try again.
They did foil us, and
Concern for the Hungry.
yes, they did foil the city. We did send the appropriate information, and that's kind of where we left it. So City Council would like, I can try to reach out, but Schenectady Foundation is currently spending down that money.
So I guess part of my question was, are they including transportation as part of what they're doing?
I do not know that at this time.
Because
I can get that.
is that the main concern? I mean, essentially.
Well, that's what, I mean, I have a main concern because I do see that is still a dramatic need. So one way or the other, I think it would be very great for Ms. Carver to be able to continue talking with the Schenectady Foundation about this. Because, yes.
And so since they're also spending down, so I don't think it's beyond the realm to actually ask the Schenectady Foundation, you just say, come in and tell us what you're doing and how things are going. And also to bring this up in terms of Concern for the Hungry. But I just want to say, again, if the concern is only, if we get them, if transportation is the only thing, does it matter? Does the money have to go to Concern for the Hungry? Can it, as long as it's being done, I guess is my question, to make sure that it's being done.
That's a fair question.
Because that's what I'm hearing, that it's about transportation, so as long as it's being done.
That's a fair, but I think we need, I like the idea of having the presentation, so.
So, would you agree to that? All right.
And I didn't mention progress on any update on Miracle on Craig.
Right.
So I'll mention that.
Right, because there was initially wanted to come in this evening, and it's actually it's become the Carver Community Center Cooperative, or Hamilton Hill Cooperative. It's changed. It's the folks who were trying to get behind that. So they will not be coming forward. My understanding is the mayor, you wanted to hear something from them personally, or before they came to the council?
I think the whole discussion, we have to look at some of the stuff that Dury is doing, some of the stuff at the Empowerment Center, some of the opportunities with Carver, and make sure they're all aligned, and where do we get the biggest leverage out of our dollars. And so I think there's opportunities there to, again, not everybody's going to get everything they want, but to try and move things in a manner that hopefully has a bigger impact on the community. In the Carver Center, you know, the reality is I think everybody here wants it to be successful. That's basically $2 million short in its funding.
So they're supposed to be coming a couple weeks in, and I just want to say frankly, I want to make sure that organizations in minoritized neighborhoods are not just all like having to fight for the same dollar. So if we can make it collective, then that's fine, but I want to make sure and that all the programs and services are there, because we see money spent, you know, all over the city, so I just want to make sure that all those needs are met, and we aren't, because there was a conversation I was in that was saying, well, let's take the money from here and give it to them. So that means that two organizations in the same community are now fighting for the same dollar, and I don't want it to look like it's like people are being adversarial because of funding. So, and you know, apparently we have the ability to help with the why. So I think that we should also be thinking outside the box, perhaps, and how we can make sure that funding happens and all these organizations are able to get what they need in order to move forward and sustain and be around for 135 years. So you will ask the foundation to come in. Is there anything else you want to know from any other group? Mr. Williams.
With the respect to the Electric City Co-op, can you speak to any premature hesitations with regards to where they currently aren't? And then do you have any, I know you have a meeting scheduled with them tomorrow. From your experience on how this project management has continued, are you confident that this is something that they'll be able to get over it? Or is that...
I do not know. I cannot confidently answer that question, Councilman.
The council can always amend it.
I would like to just say to City Council, after hearing the presentations today from Doree and knowing that there isn't any ARPA fund, that my department is going to look at some funding that could help support some of these projects, considering we are in the middle of our annual action plan and consolidated plan. So as my department is evaluating what funds that we have left over internal, we will take into consideration some of the sub-recipients that we were not able to help.
Well, thank you for that. That's very important. I appreciate that. Any other questions for Ms. Palmer?
Thank you.
Regarding ARPA, anything? All right. Thank you very much. Okay. The next item is a ceremonial resolution for St. Patrick's Day. We do this every year, and I guess maybe, I don't know if all of you got the email, but we did hear from the Ancient Order of Hibernians, so I put it on the agenda. And they also will bring in their dancers. So be prepared for that and wear your green for the next council meeting.
Yeah.
So, need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the next ceremonial resolution is recognizing veteran Dominic DeSantis. As you know, they do the honor of veteran. I want to say every month, but I'm not sure what their time frame is. But we did receive information that they're going to be honoring this individual, and so I wanted to actually have a ceremonial resolution for Mr. DeSantis.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And item number 8 is the review moratorium on smoke and vape shops, and I believe you have a lot of information in your packet. Well, Mr. Toro?
Yes, thank you. So I did print it out, and I think everything looked good as far as your corrections of 3 months temporary. I like the temporary versus 6 months versus 3 months putting it in there. So, I mean, I don't personally have any questions, Mr. Corporation Counsel.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Curran. Madam President?
Yes.
Yeah, based on our conversations the last couple of times, I incorporated your comments into the draft legislation, and it is for a date certain, June 10th. It also indicates that there was some concern with council members about whether applications that are already in the pipe, in the process, what would the status of them, what would their status be, And what we're looking at is on or before March 1st. That's just the day they will be processed through, March 1st. That's just a date that was processed. I can move that date which way you all want, but March 1st, so if they've already been put in for those, they'll be processed. And then anything after the 1st, there is a hardship clause. In other words, if they wish to say, wait, I've been closed out here, there is a hardship provision. And also, this is a relatively short period of time. It's 3 months, not 6 months, with a date certain out on June 10th. And then what I anticipate is a report back to the council during the committee cycle, the end of April, as a status report on how that drafting is going.
Any questions regarding this at all? Everyone had a chance to read through it? And so, just to be clear that you're using the March 1st date, but
If you at this committee meeting, if you want to amend that to a different date, you can. I just put that date as a placeholder.
okay.
So if you want to move that to the left or the right, you can.
So essentially this time, because there's a lot of conversation about people who already had their applications in process, and do we just like shut it down and say, no, you absolutely can't. So what Mr. O'Brien has come up with, instead of that, just giving it a hard date, which is March 1st, just a few days ago. Keep in mind that we would move it out of committee tonight, and then, if everyone's in agreement, and then we would actually vote on it March 11th. So just to make sure everybody's still comfortable with the March 1st date. Ms. Patrick?
So I was wondering if we could move it to March 11th, I mean, because...
Whatever the council wishes, I just, if they want to put it onto the 1st, or...
You know what I mean, it just, like, because we haven't voted on it yet, so...
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I agree.
I'll amend the legislation then if the committee wishes to have that.
All right. So, okay. So this is not going to interfere with because the ordinance itself wouldn't actually take place. This is only with the applications that are in process.
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
So I'll move it with the amended date of March 11th, is that what Howard say that?
Yes, it'll be March 11th instead of the 1st.
All right, I'll second that. All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, just one quick question about that. I'm just thinking,
Yes.
I'm sorry, it just popped in my head. So if voting on March 11th, then shouldn't it be March 12th? You know?
It's the day you're voting on, you're making a decision on that day.
Okay, we're making a decision on
You can
that
do it
day.
on that, you can do it the day after if you wish, but that's the date the ordinance is passing at the council, so that, and there's provisions for hardship clauses after that
Yeah.
day, hardship applications after that day.
That's
Does that satisfy your question? Okay. All right, so it's moved and second, and did we say all in favor? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the Mohawk Harbor Event Center Community Benefits Agreement amendment. We had a discussion at the table, the mayor said he was open to it. What I did was I sent to all of you was what we came up with based on the discussions, and these are the things that are being put forth as additions to the community benefits agreement based on discussions that happened at this table. So, Mayor, I guess I would ask you to comment on that. I know that you received the email earlier, and this is something that we could work into to amend the agreement.
It would be, the council's got to come to some consensus if you want to pass that as a formal resolution or modify it or something in between.
Okay.
So I can then work from that.
So you see before you what was discussed at the table and brought forward, and so open to discussion that we, these are things, or if there's more, or if there's something that you want to remove from it, so. And did all of you also get an email about, from someone about having things free? I got an email and also from the stockade, a member of the stockade regarding the traffic. You all receive that?
The traffic,
Just want to make sure everybody's hearing all the information. So, this is open for discussion. Mr. Williams.
I appreciate the further consideration. I know with the mayor's proposed CBA, I definitely have a lot of aspects of our previous conversation listed, but I think this definitely more collectively represents the entire council, and then it is open up for interpretation or discussion by the developers, but definitely excited to see the mayor open to continue conversations and seeing this project continue forward with a positive collaborative aim.
That's it? Where are people with what's been presented here?
I guess for me, there's just the question of moving this forward this evening, or suggesting that perhaps a conversation happen with the developer, as Mr. Williams is suggesting, in terms of, just in terms of whether these are realistic. I don't have that, I don't know. Is that what you were trying to say? That no, that you would say, move this?
Yes, because the conversation.
Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Because the conversation has already been started with regards to evaluating a CBA from the city.
So are you asking us, just to be clear, Ms. Patrick, you're asking us to go to the developer and say, are you willing to do these things? Is that what you're asking?
I guess,
I'm thinking, have them look at it, and it's something they're doable, maybe coming back with a counter proposal. Oops. Never mind.
So let me just ask the mayor, the process where you and the developer sat down could you describe what that process is like, since there's been thought that we should be having the developer look at what we're proposing, and could you just tell us what that process was like?
Could you say that again? I prefaced.
Could you just tell us what the process was like in terms of your coming to this community benefits agreement with the developer?
It paralleled the ongoing discussions. This didn't happen overnight. This was a process that happened over many months. Members of the council were involved in that discussion. And so I looked to have our agreement parallel the agreement that had been worked with the county. And so there are some things that are referenced in that. And people also talk about the developer. Some of it, it's not going to be the developer. Some of it may be Union College, who's the principal tenant in it. There's going to be other activities, so that there's other players who may be able to do some of these things that the developer wouldn't be able to do. So again, it's more of a dynamic process as we go forward, and the reality is we're still over a year down the road before it's going to be open, and some of these things would actually be able to be implemented and made part of the daily operations.
Yes, Ms. Williams.
We can amend resolutions, correct?
Yes, we can, and I understand it's going to be here, but let me just, Mayor, you said that you want to parallel the county, but if the county is missing things that we feel are important, there should still be an opportunity for us. I didn't see anything in the county in terms of and maybe I overlooked at the MWBE hiring goal, because I think that's important, and not just for the ESD amount, because when we got the information from the Empire State Development, they were clear, I think it was $10 million, that they had an MWBE goal. But what's being stated here, and actually I'm the one that stated that we'd like to see it for the entire project cost as opposed to just for the $10 million from ESD.
Again, how it's being outlined is our money is going to go for upgrades to water, sewer, and access to the site. So it's getting some of those things in place, and those contracts would be approved under the normal process where Ron is going to be part of the discussion and negotiation. And then it's the actual implementation of the daily operation of the facility going forward, which I believe everybody wants these things to happen. Nobody's saying, oh, we got to do X on Monday night and Z once a month, but they're open to, having activity there to make people feel part of the investment and to benefit from it.
Okay. So at this point in time, this is what's before us. So is there more things that the council wants to see? Because then I would then ask the mayor that we have an actual meeting with the developer, Union College, and the others to like hash this out and put it to bed once and for all.
That's right.
I know it sounds like a year, you said a year down the road, but I don't want us to be talking about this in 10 months. So
Probably
I'd
be
like
talking
us-
a year down the road.
So I'd like for us to have that conversation. And for anybody else, if there's something was there something, Mr. Dorr?
Oh, I'm just
Okay.
processing.
So if there's something more that we want to see, let's talk about that tonight. Let's put this here and then let's just then move forward with asking the mayor to set up that meeting to have those discussions. Yes, Mr. Toro.
I'm processing, I'm done processing.
Okay, go
Thank
ahead.
you. Thank you. So, and we did hear from Mr. Wallen tonight, especially with the golf course, about, MWBE, about the developer itself, as the mayor just said. And we're looking at just infrastructure with our money, with the ARP funds that we're putting in there. So I would like to, and again, we would be putting it probably out to bid ourselves, and Ron would be taking care of that. So number one, I don't think.
It may or may not be.
Okay.
We may not put this out to bid.
But, other people, but Ron would be involved in that. I mean, the overall, you're talking about the overall, how many millions of dollars?
50 million.
50 million, that you're asking the developer to meet those needs.
It's an ask, and I think that's a reasonable ask.
I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying
okay.
you're asking
Let me-
the developer
yes.
to meet the needs of the 50 million.
The entire project cost.
Okay.
Because as we've heard from the gentleman that comes to the rail, as we've heard from Mr. Gardner, as we heard from Mr. Wallen, and the term that's used is best faith effort.
Yes.
So I would like us to see a little bit more than the best faith effort when it comes to hiring for MWBE, and especially because it means that funds are turning around our city, and that is important.
Absolutely.
That if money that's being spent, whether it's our 2.5 million and the whole 50 million, that people who live and reside in the city and who can do the work have an opportunity to benefit from developing the city.
Absolutely.
And that's on any project, not just this one.
Right. Especially the gentleman that comes to the rail. I mean, we've all visited him many times, and by giving money, commitment to the people who live in the city, they spend it in the city. I mean, so I like that. Now, hiring 65%.
Okay, Mr. Farley.
Oh, that's right. I thought we were still.
Okay. Well, I guess my point is more of a larger point is that, from my understanding and what I've been interpreting this as, no parties that are involved seem to be like fighting for limitations as it relates to this project. Everybody seems pretty motivated to make it happen and make it happen in a way that is has the best positive impact here in the city. So I think that that's a great plan, Madam President, to kind of put the necessary parties in the room and kind of talk about what's presented. And I won't be surprised if everything here is met and even more. You don't know. So I think that this conversation might be a little premature as far as before we kind of talk to them. I think that you have a good plan.
I like these proposals. I'd just like to hear their feedback, because I really wouldn't know, is the 65% number doable? Is that too high, too low, or do they need a counter offer?
Right.
This is more reasonable, and we can put that in, and hear their feedback.
Hence the conversation, absolutely. Ms. Patrick.
So I support that as well. I mean, I think that's the way to go. I think it sounds like we're all in agreement that it'd be good to have that conversation so that before we make a resolution or anything, because we want to see what's realistic from their standpoint.
Mr. Toro, there's more you wanted to add? So I do have one question. And in the, this is really for the mayor, in Exhibit A, I put it down here, it says, of the original community benefits agreement, let me just be clear. Page 7, it says the city would provide staffing to complement the staff at the Mohawk Harbor as mutually agreed upon when there's events run by the city. So just wanted to be clear that if there's city staff that works on events that are not city-run, that we would be reimbursed for that, if that even would come up. Do you understand my question? That if we provide city staff to an event,
I
that's
don't
not right.
understand it completely, but when we provide staffing above and beyond the normal contingent, whether it's police, fire, Bureau of Service, we charge for that.
Okay.
So that's also,
So that's done. It doesn't need to be a part of it. We get our money, we are reimbursed for that. That's just already in place.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that that was the case.
The general way that's done is, I don't know if you've seen like the street closing permit,
yeah.
where somebody's going to do a block party, or somebody's going to have some other type of outdoor event. Each department has to sign off. Can they do it within their normal staffing, or is there some additional expense? And they will say, it's going to cost $1,000 for police. It's going to cost, we're going to put an extra paramedic rig on, and we then recruit that cost.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we cover those bases. I'm revenue driven. Any other discussion about this? So Mayor, can you and I talk about how that meeting can take place? And could you and I talk about how that meeting can take place so we could have that conversation with Union and West Yard properties?
Tonight?
No.
Yes,
We could have a conversation tonight. I don't think the meeting's gonna happen tonight, but,
Yes, we can.
okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion on this? And anything else, once again, anybody wants to bring forward in terms of amending the community benefits agreement? Okay, there is one other item that, under city development and planning, is that I wanted to actually have a discussion with. It's regarding personnel, so I would ask that we do that, but it would have to be an executive session. Yes.
Point of order, I don't know what it is, so I wouldn't know what
Okay, so there was a recent,
what we're
I will
talking
tell you.
about,
I
or
will tell you.
research. Right.
Yeah, so there was a recent resignation, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting multiple phone calls, emails, et cetera, about how that came about, and so I wanted to have the mayor just brief the council on that. The resignation of our parks director as we get ready to go into park season, so. But it's personnel, so it would have to be executive session.
So
Yes.
is there a motion to go into executive session regarding that topic at this point?
Right now, I would just recess.
I understand you're
Yeah.
recessing to
Right.
revisit. Okay,
Right.
gotcha. Okay.
Yes, and no,
thank you.
and that's not what I'm asking for right now.
Okay, I got
No.
you.
So it would just be an explanation from the mayor of
Right.
what happened. We, of course, wouldn't be able to elaborate on any of it because I'm just hearing about it right now. Okay.
Well, I've heard a lot about it, so I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the conversation. So what I would ask for is a motion to recess city development and planning, and then I'd call it for executive session.
So you
Well, we
want,
wouldn't finish the rest of our agenda, public safety and
We're
health
going
and
to
recreation.
recess city development and planning,
Okay.
finish our agenda, and then call back to order.
Okay.
So I need a motion to recess.
Okay, so moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're recessed.
So I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee. There's one item on the agenda tonight. It is simply a reminder amending City Code Chapter 93 regarding the term limits, holdovers, and vacancies. There will be a public hearing on March 11th, 2024, unless there are any outstanding items from the council.
yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I submitted to you all was a draft of the ordinance. This is just a working draft. So if this draft, as presented, will be put in proper form, will be posted on the city's website so people on Monday night can comment on this language. You're not passing this, it's just out for comment on this proposed ordinance.
And then to the mayor's previous point, I think it was moving this forward and allowing for us to continue to adjust the draft as needed without postponing the public hearing. So,
Right.
hearing any questions or comments regarding it.
Yeah, I mean, in 2 weeks after our next committee session, you would have had the public comment, and then you can revisit this and amend it anytime, any which way you want.
So the public hearing.
Okay, but it's just something as a departure point for discussion.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, or there's no motion needed. So if there are any other items that would fall to Public Safety Committee, hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Okay, so I'll open Health and Recreation. We have one item on the agenda. You see before you the legislative request, but also I had drafted something up as a resolution, but it ended up in our packet already, even though we haven't actually talked about this, so I apologize for that. So basically, the Schenectady Food Council, which we previously were discussing when Ms. Carver was here, has subcommittees, and one of the committees is their Advocacy and Empowerment Working Group. Right now, they have already sent a letter, which basically has the language that you see in our draft resolution, to Governor Hochul, as well as the state senators and state assembly people who represent our district. And what they are asking for in that letter is related to these 5 priorities: the healthy school meals for all, double up food bucks, the SNAP minimum benefit, HIPNAP, and Nourish New York, and the Urban Farming Land Initiative Act. So obviously, this has a time component to it, because we'd want to, if we were going to move forward in supporting that letter that the advocacy group did, we'd need to have that drafted and sent out, because they're going to be doing their budget negotiations now, I would say, right? Is that in the state? So, so that's what this is about.
So you're just asking for a resolution of support?
Yes. So, let's see, I have Doreen
I'll
and
move it.
Devani are on that committee, yep.
Making a move for motion?
She's moving it, can I have a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Okay, and there's more information on this other page. Thank you, so I'd like a motion to adjourn Health and Recreation. And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great, thank you very much.
So I'd like to reconvene City Development and Planning, and entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're in executive session, asking members of the public to leave.